his commitment to his civic duty and the role that he was willing to play and the bullets that he was willing to take. I think it's admirable.
Doge fought the swamp, and so far the swamp has won, and that's just unfortunate. This is hardwired into how the people in Washington are borrowing and spending your money, but it has huge implications for the viability of our economy, our country.
Zach Abraham, hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Doge, maybe not so much. Oh, Elon's time with Doge coming to an end. He put on X, as my scheduled time as a special government employee comes to an end. I would like to thank President Trump for the opportunity to reduce wasteful spending. The Doge mission will only strengthen over time as it becomes a way of life through the government. So we'll see how Doge, I guess, changes without Elon Musk at the helm. But meanwhile, some Republicans have become critical of it, not on the idea of Doge, but on the inaction on the back end. And this is something that Elon Musk last week had alluded to. So he's like, we can only recommend things. We can't do anything unless Congress acts. So Florida Governor Ron DeSantis was giving a speech on a variety of topics, and he talked about the fact that these Doge suggested cuts need to be codified by Congress. Here he is.
It's a little frustrating. You know, Elon Musk went into this Doge effort. He was getting lampooned. I mean, like, they're firebombing his Tesla dealerships, media smearing him relentlessly. His businesses suffered, all this stuff, because he basically said, look, we can't keep doing this, and we need to moderate and reduce the amount of money that the federal government is spending. And yet, we have a Republican Congress, and to this day, we're in the end of May, past Memorial Day, and not 1 cent in Doge cuts have been implemented by the Congress. That's one of the reasons why we need a balanced budget amendment to the U.S. Constitution.
So is it all going to be for nothing, you think?
No, I mean, I not at all. I mean, if one additional person wakes up to the idea that there is massive levels of fraud and abuse and bad allocation of funds, you know what I mean, all that stuff, then that's worth it to me. When we came into this, I think I told you that I thought that the $2 trillion goal was a noble one, but I didn't think that would come close to that.
Yeah.
And the biggest reason for that is because if you look at government spending, right? So look at Medicare, Social Security, and the interest on the debt. Okay, those three, I believe, make up, 70, 80% of government spending, just those three things?
I'm not sure, but it's got to be a lot.
It is. And it's a massive amount. And so when you start looking at what things can be cut, and when I say can be cut, what I mean is, wasteful spending that we can trim right here. I don't mean the reworking of Social Security, because does that need to get reformulated and redone? Yes. But if you think the pushback to Doge was intense, try messing with Social Security. And what people need, they're going to fight for it because it's people's rights. No, they're going to fight for it because it's an easy way to get elected, right? To stand up there and say they're going to take your Social Security. Well, what everybody needs to wake up is they're going to take your country, right? Meaning you don't get this figured out and squared away, we're eventually going to be living in a banana republic, and we're not that far from it, right? So, 7% debt to GDP, I just don't think people realize how insane these numbers are. They're borderline third world. So, no, I don't think. The other thing about it is, if you are still out there asleep about what's going on in this country, Doge is a perfect example, right? Oh, look what Elon Musk, he doesn't have the right to do. And you go, you and I were saying all along, he's not doing anything.
Right.
He's effectively a consultant, and he's going to make recommendations. You think that Trump can just, that's the other part of the problem in this country is just civics, right? Nobody knows how government works, and you're laughing at him going, you think Musk is in there making budget calls? He's giving recommendations. He doesn't have the power of the purse, you idiots. I think it is incredible that the words, they only found $250 billion, and you're just like, come again?
Yeah.
Right? That's a failure. Let's look what Doge cost. And if all it ends up if all it ends up doing is cutting 250 bill, I'm old enough to remember when 250 billion was real money.
Yeah.
You know? So, I mean, then you look at, and say it's not, it's an immaterial amount of money, right? Well, drive around Western Washington, see the state of our roads, okay? $250 billion is a meaningful amount of money. Look at the state of our education system. I just don't understand it. It literally, people opposing Doge, I would love to hear one coherent argument that was not just coated, painted, and gilded in hate for Trump and Musk. That's all it is. His commitment to his civic duty and the role that he was willing to play and the bullets that he was willing to take. I think it's admirable.
Yeah, and at the same time, like, Doge is an ongoing effort. It's not as if, oh, it's 4 months and then you're done. But do you trust, you've said it many times, Democrats aren't the only ones who got us into this situation. This is a bipartisan spending problem we have had over many, many years. So, I mean, this is the put up or shut up, right? Do you trust Republicans to get this work done in Congress on the back end?
No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. And the reason I don't is because of why we have $2 trillion deficits to begin with.
Yeah.
Right. So at some point in this country, we decided that we wanted our cake and to eat it too. We wanted our cake and to eat it too. And that whoever stood in the way of that was, the embodiment of evil and the embodiment of what we should fight against. Right. Meaning we for instance, people in this country are no longer willing to endure a 6 to 9 month recession and a 25% pullback in the stock market because that's the pain that we're taking because we're going to make some hard cuts in government spending.
Yeah.
Right. And if you think about it culturally, I think everybody will understand what I'm saying. The minute the stock market goes down because government cuts spending, how does that get painted? Oh, it's economic failure. It's bad policy. It's this. It's like, no, in adult world, we realize that oftentimes doing the right thing, especially when the right thing has been obfuscated and kicked down the road for 25 years, when you get around to doing the right thing, it usually isn't very fun.
Yeah.
Right? So let's let the Freedom Caucus push really hard and get some pay cuts through. Watch that have a negative impact on the stock market. Maybe go have a little recession. And what everybody's going to be saying. Look what they've turned your 401k into a 201k. Eric Swalwell, right? And so I hope that I'm wrong. I would be very happy to be wrong. Do I think I am? I'm afraid I'm not.
Yeah, because also, like you said, you're factoring in, all of them are factoring in political consequences. So do they want to bear the consequence on the back end? I don't know if any of them are willing to do that in the short term, because short term can be the difference between getting elected and not getting elected. I mean, terms in the U.S. House are only 2 years. So it's a pretty quick election cycle to be back up for a vote. Part of me wonders if some of them are just sort of resting on the laurels of, oh, Doge is, like, people misunderstanding what Doge does. Part of me wonders if some Republicans are like, well, Americans will think we're cutting because Doge is suggesting all these cuts, but they won't understand that we're not actually doing it yet. So I guess I don't trust politicians and I don't trust government. So to Ron DeSantis's point, until the cuts are codified, then they're meaningless.
Yeah. And look, I love the idea of a balanced budget amendment, but it's just not feasible. Okay, like especially if you're a country like the United States, you have to be able to run deficits at times.
Yeah. Right.
Like world wars. Right. I mean, and see, that's what's tough is because it's not just the deficit, it's why. Right. So and I think that's one of the things that makes people sleep on the pernicious aspect of this debt spending problem we currently find ourselves mired in. Because they'll point back and they'll say, hey, we've been here before. Look, we were running 7% deficits coming out of World War II. And my response to them is, guys, that was like a down payment we put down that made us the number one economy in the world, that made us the reserve currency of the world, and also basically put us in charge of the largest military group of allies in the history of mankind.
Yep.
So all deficits are not made the same, right? That down payment paid in spades over the next 90 years. The bill we're running now, it isn't like that at all. It's inverse. It is pork. It is money that we have given away that we don't have, right? And so it's two completely different things. The other thing that you've got to keep in mind too is we were on the gold standard back then, right? So yeah, we were running really big deficits, but we had a hard asset for the most part on the other side backing that value.
Right.
Today it's nothing, right? So I mean, we've got gold, but I mean, it's probably not worth, the gold that we have is, what is it worth? Like 500-600 billion, something like that. Oh no, I don't think it's that. I think it's like 50 billion or something, but it's a drop in the bucket. It's not even as much money as Doge, right? Cut. So yeah, we're in for a fix. And the problem is that just nobody is really incentivized. That's the thing that's scary about it, Brandi, is that history tells us that these situations do not get dealt with until they have to.
Yeah.
And usually the way they get dealt with is not very fun, right? Like, i.e. the French Revolution, right?
Right.
I mean, that's kind of an extreme example, but I'm saying like that's why, that's effectively why that happened. And we're heading in a very dangerous patch. And yeah, I just don't see the incentives, because like you said, it's the old it's the politicians in DC. I know we need to cut spending, but if I vote for that spending cut, I'm not going to get elected, and then I'm not able to keep doing good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, let's do it
So
next
nothing
year.
ever gets cut.
Let's do it next year. Yeah, I mean, I hope that we're wrong, obviously. And there are things that Doge can and is doing that don't require cuts, right? That can increase the efficiency of government, where they don't actually have to go groveling to Congress to approve it. For instance, cleaning up, some of the databases and modernizing some of the databases, which they've been doing. So Doge reported after 11 weeks, Social Security has finished a major cleanup initiative. 12.3 million individuals who were over the age of 120 have now been marked as deceased. So they're still working on it. But of course, this was one of the very first issues that was brought up by Doge is, hey, there's like millions of people who are obviously dead, right? Who are still in Social Security. Now, as we pointed out, that didn't mean they were vampires cashing checks. The media is like, well, these people aren't defrauding Social Security. They're dead. Yeah, that's the point. They should be cleaned from the rolls. So it's like, why not?
The point is the checks are being issued, right? Like, so yes, everybody understands that a 128-year-old person isn't shopping at Nordstrom's with their Social Security card.
Yes.
Okay. But somebody spent that money, right? Those checks got cashed.
Right.
And that's the, yeah.
Yeah. And I should note that they didn't argue in every case that checks were being cashed. But that they were active in the system. So, I mean, there could have been, I suppose, checks
probably
were being...
some of all kinds.
Yeah, like either they weren't actually being sent checks, or checks were being sent and going uncashed, or somebody was cashing. So, hey, like every third Dateline episode is about some chick that kills her husband, and then she continues to cash his Social Security for months.
Amen.
So, I don't know.
It's the efficiency of the federal government. I mean, you got to love it, right?
Right.
Very efficient.
You can get away with it.
Yeah, and that's where, and I think everybody listening to this knows, but that's what to me is so sad about where we're at culturally, because you've got half the country that effectively believes in fairy tales and nonsense. And, you have these situations where you're like, no, this is for the benefit of all of us. This is apolitical, right? This is good. We don't want waste. That doesn't benefit anybody. No, they can't. And it creates this environment where just nobody's incentivized to do the right thing. And it's a bit discouraging. I'm not going to lie to you. It's worrisome.
Man, you mentioned that word apolitical. Is anything apolitical anymore? I mean, think about it. Like, let's think about it. Movies aren't anymore. Sports aren't anymore. There's got to be something. Religion isn't anymore, as we're going to maybe discuss at the end here, because I know you want to rail on something. What's apolitical?
You know what? I don't really know.
I've got one.
And what is it?
Puppies.
Puppies.
Yeah, there you go.
That's true. And ironically, no one hates him for it, right? Like, that's kind of shocking to me, right? Because like anything, I'm surprised that like, especially the blue-haired folks out there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm surprised that they haven't decided that they didn't like puppies because the puppies were not active enough. They weren't politically active enough, right?
Yeah. Well, if Trump had a puppy, then it would be like death to puppies.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
Antifa just be sacrificing puppies left and right.
Oh, you got rid, because that would be a sign naturally that puppies were kind of closet Republicans, and you can't have that.
Yeah, 100%.
Which means by definition, they're bigots too.
Right, homophobes, like 100%. Anyway, I didn't think we'd talk about killing dogs on the show today. All right, let's get to our Doge Miss of the Week.
Christy Nome.
Yeah, Christy Nome. Oh, God.
Yeah.
All right, Doge Miss of the Week. And look, whenever somebody says expert, I'm like, expert according to who? So I always take it with a grain of salt.
Right.
But this from The Guardian. Expert calls Musk's Doge involvement, quote, one of the greatest brand destructions. So he's called a top U.S. marketing professor, Scott Galloway. He says that Elon has completely alienated Tesla's core demographic. This was a huge marketing brand error for Elon Musk. Do you feel the same way? We've kind of talked about this in various ways, but do you see it as a brand failure?
No, and Scott Galloway is really good at talking about things and sticking his foot in his mouth. So this is nothing new. No, I mean, look, no. Long story short, no. And here's the reason why. If first of all, the media is going to try. Well, they're idiots too, and they don't know what they're talking about. The media is going to try to spin this. Tesla's in trouble because of Musk's involvement with Doge. Tesla's in trouble because BYD just cut their prices by another 30%. And they're literally, they are going after Tesla in these markets. And why are they going after Tesla? It's not because of the political proclivities of Elon Musk. It's because they're number one in the EV game. And Tesla cannot compete with these guys. They just can't. And their sales are down 46% in Europe. It is because you can go out and get a BYD, which has got a nicer, more robust interior for a third the cost of a Model 3. Okay, that's why. And you can get a 300-mile charge in 5 minutes. That's why. Okay, so did it hurt some of his sales here? Yeah, but those same idiots that hate him now thought he was Jesus 3 years ago. Yeah, right.
They come back,
and something else will come back. He'll go give a talk at a climate change deal, and he'll be back to being climate Jesus. I mean, these people hated Russia. They loved Russia. I mean, they're all over the map, right? So no, and Scott Galloway is an anti-Trump guy, and so he's gonna bag on Musk or Trump with every chance he gets. But no, I mean, look, I don't think that what he did helped himself.
Yeah.
I don't think it helped. But I think that the quote unquote brand damage he did, it's like it's like having a malfunctioning side view or side mirror on your car, but somebody just rear-ended you too. It's like, yeah, you need to get the mirror fixed, but it's probably not the priority. Right. What's damaging Tesla is what's going on in the business side of things, which was going to happen regardless. So I don't think it made much of a difference.
I also don't think he cares. I don't know if it was a brand. It wasn't like he was remaking his brand. He was getting politically involved. What's funny is the media never has an issue when CEOs of other companies get politically involved in favor of
Democrats. On the liberal side.
Then it's all cool. Like, oh my gosh, this is so great. But Elon does get, oh my God, he's damaged his brand irreparably. Now, I do get the point that Galloway makes. He says he's alienated the wrong people. 3/4 of the Republican base would never consider buying an EV. So he's cozied up to the people who aren't interested in EVs. To an extent, I think that's true. We've kind of acknowledged it. I think fewer Republicans, and you're living in more rural areas, an EV might just not fix your lifestyle, even if you'd want to buy one to help out Elon Musk. But, they also act as if Elon, the only thing he has going on is Tesla, or the only thing he cares about is Tesla. And I think his support for Donald Trump had to do with a lot of other concerns he has about other issues. So it's like his only shtick or thing isn't EVs. But, they did cite some polling that said Tesla fell from the 8th most reputable brand in 2021 to now the 95th. And that's just lefties who are angry, and I don't know how much that's actually reflected.
And they did the polling for that survey in Los Angeles and San Francisco, right?
Yeah, Seattle too. Seattle too.
Shocker. The other side of it is, look, something that we've seen from corporate America all the time, and unfortunately, I see a lot of companies really losing their fastball when it comes to this. But innovation, okay, just innovate, put out cool stuff.
Yep.
Right, that is Tesla's brand. Right, that's what made Tesla made EVs cool. Right, it wasn't because they were saving the planet; they made EVs cool. Okay, and when he comes out with his next cool thing, because he's really good at doing that, it will be successful.
Yeah.
And I really don't think he'll mind that there's 100,000 blue-hairs out there that are no longer going to buy his, because he is going to gain other supporters and other things,
right,
and other areas. But yeah, I don't think it's a big deal.
When he gets us to Mars and Earth, there's a trajectory and Earth's destruction's on the horizon. Everybody will be an Elon fan again because they'll want a ticket to Mars. I was looking for this because it just cracks me up how unhinged people are. Our friend Ari Hoffman over at KVI Radio posted this. Seattle fun event. Free Tesla badge removals today at U Village, which is a mall in Seattle, where literally if you go, they'll remove the T from your Tesla for free.
Cool.
Right? Like,
right
oh
on.
Gosh, really
cool.
unhinged.
Hey, boy, you're making the world better one less T at a time. I mean, the other thing I sit there and go, look at these people and go, why don't you just wear a sign that say, I'm a bum and I have nothing better to do?
I'm not very smart.
I mean, what a bunch of morons.
Speaking of a bunch of morons, this is it Doge adjacent? It's really not, but that's okay, because I know that you want to rant about it. So, of course, the whole vilification of the peaceful worshiping Christians in Seattle and the mayor coming out and blaming them for Antifa attacking them. I know you've been fuming about it, so go ahead.
So first of all, it was kind of one of those where you had to read it a few times because I don't like biting on clickbait either.
Yep.
Right. And too many times I've reposted something or gotten all fired up about something and been like, okay, it wasn't as big a deal. After about the third or fourth time reading through this thing, I honestly, I was immediately incensed. But then I was legitimately concerned. Right? Just because I'm not saying, and I don't want to be hyperbolic, and I think it's really important that we're not, because hyperbole is one of the problems that we currently face.
Agreed.
Right? Just, so I don't want to join that issue. But guys, I think that it's really important that people understand their history. These are the kinds of things that you typically see leading up to disasters, right? Leading up to crimes against humanity, right? This is not tracking well. And if you're looking at things out there today and you're identifying the problem or the blight on the face of America right now as conservative Christians, like, look, there's shady Christians just like there's shady of all walks of life. But people having a prayer and worship service in a public space on what is customarily seen as the Sabbath, that's an attack on the good people of Seattle. This is just scary stuff, right? Bottom line, this is scary stuff. Yeah. And it's very reminiscent of kind of what you saw in the 30s in Europe with Jews, right? And again, I'm not saying Christians are the new Jews or anything like that, but I'm just saying when you see people in power singling out, think about what they're doing. He's singling out a religious group, right? If that was a group of Muslims, we'd be up in arms.
Yep, 100%. Right? They would never have ever, Antifa would have never attacked them.
Nope.
The mayor would have never vilified them.
And to be fair, I would have been ticked off if this did happen to a group of Muslims too, right? But just, this is scary stuff. And I don't think people, it's just the irony of branding the political opponents fascists, where I'm sitting there going, you guys are literally taking pages out of the brown shirts playbook.
Yeah.
I mean, literally. And it's just scary because they don't see it. It's like the thing that scares me the most in life is a reckless, dangerous human being that doesn't realize they are, right? Those are the people that are like walking, mass destruction or weapons of mass destruction, right? They're like walking WMDs because they're dangerous and yet they have no respect for the level of danger that they pose to everybody around them. And they don't even understand it themselves. And that's what's it is terrifying to me that we live in a world where the supporters of free people, those that stand up for the oppressed are people that are taking hardline stance against individual religious groups. It's scary stuff, man. And I just don't think enough people are waking up to it.
Yeah, it is scary. And I know, there's a show about the economy essentially, and we can kind of bring it back there because one of the things I'm concerned about, we're both based in Washington State. I just feel like we have, the mayor of Seattle, the leftist politicians, they're setting the stage for another summer like we had in 2020, another summer of love, another summer of rioting. We're already feeling this tense atmosphere, like from the, pro-Hamas crowd and all of that. And now, it's the BLM movement because the anniversary of George Floyd. Then you get into all of this. And so I'm just worried. And look what a disaster it was for downtown Seattle from a tourism perspective, from a business perspective in the summer of 2020. I mean, a bunch of businesses left and never came back. It's been a shell of itself ever since. I don't think it'll survive another summer like that.
Well, I was having an interesting conversation again with had my sister and my brother-in-law and their family over to our house yesterday. And we were having conversations about several of these topics. And, and I know that you and I have talked about this before, and I'm sure you've talked about it a lot on the show before as well. But, I am not somebody that was ever very close or even actively considering leaving the state.
Yeah.
And I'm not now at this moment, but a couple of the things that I see, including that announcement from the Seattle mayor yesterday, where I'm sitting there, we were discussing about how we need to begin having the conversation, and we need to be open to the idea about whether it is responsible and safe for us to raise children here.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that, and I know there's a lot of people out there that be like, Zach, you should have been having that conversation. We were, but I'm just saying my children are in private school. I've got different levels of insulation that others don't. And I'm very thankful for that. But even with those levels of insulation, it's getting to a point where, it's starting to get to a point where I've got to question my own morality if I'm willing to contribute tax money to this nonsense.
True.
Right?
True.
And I'm born and raised. I don't want to live anywhere else. I love it here. I think it is climate and the area. I think it's my favorite place in the world that I've ever been. I think it's the most beautiful place on the face of the planet. But I'm also a father and a husband, and those things take precedent over what I like. And not just, and the other side of it too is business wise, right? Like some of the tax policies that when you've owned and built a business and taken the risks and the investments, and then you turn around looking and go, no, you don't get to take that. That's not yours. Yeah, I built the business in your state. That's why I paid B&O taxes. That's why I paid employment taxes. That's why I contributed this. That's why. No, I've paid my fair due. And you're wanting to claw in more? No, we're not playing that.
Yeah.
And but it is the moral issues, I think, that are even more concerning to me than the moral and the freedom issues that are far more concerning to me than the financial side of it. And those are, like I sat there and watched Ferguson sign that bill, surrounded by children, acting like he's doing them a solid, right? We're going to take medical decisions out of your parents' hands, and we're going to put them in the hands of 12 and 13-year-olds.
It's so bad.
And you should thank us for that. What kind of madness is this, right? It's madness.
Yeah, it's tough. And then you see some of these things happening at the national level that, sound great, but gosh, we don't even get a little taste of it here because there's just this blue wall that just keeps it from impacting us in a positive way. So, all right, we've been a little far afield, but still bullish on Doge?
Yeah, hey, I just keep going, man, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, keep it rolling.
All right, Zach, we'll see you next week.
All right, thanks for having me.